Tuesday Drive with Stephen.
Now, I'd like to introduce you to a young woman that's seen her fair share of knockdowns in life, with an aspiration to become a nurse or doctor in the Navy and a career as a sailor. And I guess you could say, well, her life was very well planned indeed. But as many of you would know, sometimes life can throw you a great big slippery banana, and it goes completely a different direction and not the way that we want. Kristy Hoger met with an awful injury while training at HMAS Cerberus, and that was, I guess, the way we say we could start this conversation today. Kristy, welcome to Tuesday Drive.
Thank you.
What a life you have led so far. Tell me what happened straight out of high school.
So straight out of high school, I joined the Navy. I enlisted a couple months after I finished Year 12.
Mm-hmm.
I signed up as a medic and I had everything planned out.
Yeah.
So I had intended on going in and becoming a sailor and then transitioning to become an officer later down the track.
And which high school did you go to?
Narrow High.
Oh, good old Narrow High.
Yeah.
So you wanted to become a medic. Why?
The excitement, the thrill, being able to chase dreams and travel the world and just live life, basically, yeah.
Tell me about the training at the Royal Australian Navy. What happened there?
Well, I mean, this was over 10 years
Yep.
ago, so I'm sure it's changed quite substantially. But it was fun. It was full on. And I was unlucky enough, I guess, on one of our big training days, I had an accident and I fell and landed really badly on my back. And at the time, things sort of didn't show up as quickly as you would expect with quite that sort of substantial injury. And it took 6 weeks for them to find that there was quite a significant fracture. So it was full on.
What type of training were you undertaking at the time?
Yeah, so I was doing my basic military training for the Navy to become a junior sailor. Yeah, so it's 11 weeks and it's pretty full on. You're learning the whole militaristic lifestyle and learning to live with other people and keep everything nice, clean and tidy. And, there's lots of PT involved and the history of the military, the Australian military, and how it came about, and learning how to shoot weapons, learning how to firefight, learning how to fix minor floods. It was fantastic. It was great.
So before the accident, were you simply just running along the ground? Were you climbing a building or something like that? What happened?
Yeah, so I suppose it was a bit of a funny story
Oh.
looking back on it. So it was actually part of the high ropes course. So
Okay.
down there they have a massive high rope structure. And before you are harnessed in and belayed by some of your peers, there's a mini section, I suppose you'd call it, where it sort of replicates the sort of sensations you'll feel when you're 10 metres up in the air.
Wow.
And I was halfway climbing across a little rock wall, and my little buddies were a little bit distracted. And
They weren't texting, were they?
not at
Okay,
the time.
good.
I didn't have a phone by then. And yeah, they got distracted, and I got distracted and lost my footing, and I fell, landed quite heavily on my left back and
Gosh.
left lower back, and there was just ongoing from that point.
So you actually fell 5 metres.
Oh gosh, no.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
right.
So I only fell about a metre.
Okay.
A metre to a metre and a half.
Okay,
was
right.
what it worked out to be, but it was enough to cause a lot of damage.
And when you actually fell that metre, were you in absolute pain, or at the time, a little bit of pain? Oh.
It was the worst pain I've ever been in my entire life, but I was so mortified and embarrassed that I was laying there in tears and laughing hysterically at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it was a bit of a shock factor as well. So
I guess at that time you didn't realise how serious it was. So
No.
when did you learn how serious this accident was and this injury was?
So I actually continued on with the high ropes course that day.
Wow.
And I felt a snap, and it was when we were it's called scrim netting, and it's like netting that they have on the side of a ship, and you've got to climb up it and pull your whole body weight. So I was halfway up that, and I really felt it then. I went, oh, that's not good. And I think it was probably 2 days later where I've gone, yeah, this is pretty serious, and when I had it checked out and ended up with some Voltaren and some Nurofen, and they because I think it was because of the inflammation, they couldn't actually detect that there was a fracture. So I continued on with my training, and it got to the point where I couldn't get out of bed.
Oh my goodness.
So that was pretty traumatic. I couldn't move, and it was just like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And it was, it just went downhill from there. But
and so what happened after all that?
So there was a lot of toing and froing, and there was a couple of years there where I was posted on convalescent leave to HMAS Albatross. And I got to do some fantastic training with the guys and girls up here, which was really, really, really awesome. That was a highlight for me, and an awesome opportunity that not many people would get. And then once the chapter was closed and realised that, you know, this was a permanent injury, and it was something that I had to learn to adapt with and grow with and live with. Once I was discharged from the Navy, I wasn't sure what to do. It was quite an interesting time for me, where I was still just shy of turning 20, and I didn't feel like I had a future anymore. So I ended up getting married and having some beautiful children. And it's taken me a really, a really long time to work out how to replace that. And it wasn't until 2017 where I've gone, oh my gosh, I just want to help people. It wasn't, I couldn't let go of that nursing. I felt like I was grieving something that I couldn't replace. I was grieving not being able to continue on with that career path, and missing out on something that I never really had to begin with. I hadn't made it to that point, so I didn't really know what I was actually missing out on. And it was just a moment in my life where I've gone, I just want to help people. It doesn't matter in what capacity, whether it's physically or mentally and emotionally. And that's sort of the turning point for me, where I've gone, I can go to TAFE. And I can do community services, and I can help people in an entirely different way. That's still something that I'm really passionate about.
Can I ask you, if you don't mind, you know, when you've come back to now, you've got married, was your partner supportive? Was the understanding of what has happened to you and what you were feeling at the time?
Yeah, so I guess there's a bit of a chunk missing to the story, where I found myself as a single mum to 2 young children in 2013. And I was in Canberra at the time. I ended up moving back to Nowra to be closer to family for support. And that was an entirely different, unexpected, incredibly traumatic part of my life, where, you know, it was one day at a time. It was pretty full on. And my husband, Cody, we got married 2 years ago today, and he's fantastic. He's amazing. He's so supportive of what I'm doing, and, you know, striving for the stars and just never taking no for an answer, you know, and building up this pretty incredible career. Yeah.
So what actually made you make that decision? I want to go to TAFE and I want to start studying.
I love studying. I'm very ambitious.
Yep.
University has always been massive on the cards for me, but with having a young family, I needed to do something that was realistic for me. With having 2 little kids in school and a toddler, I didn't feel that taking on university, particularly with kids and with a chronic injury, was the right decision. And so I started looking at TAFE, and I fell in love with what the community services industry could offer. Yep. It was really, really resonating with me in terms of my passions and my interests, and the fact that I just wanted to help. I wanted to make a difference and be able to have that information to support. And I guess my life experience has definitely impacted on that. When I landed myself in a situation where I was a single mum, there was a massive lack of support. And for me, if I had have known that support was there, those services were there for me to access, things could have been a lot easier. And I don't ever want another woman or man to go through what I went through without that knowledge that there's support available and services available that can help.
Can you give me a bit of idea, when you say there's support and service out there, what are you referring to? And where is it?
So personally for me, it was more family support services.
Right.
So for me, I had a lot to do with, at first it was the referral service, the family referral service, and then on to now family support, which I think might have changed names recently. Mm-hmm. But the ladies out there were absolutely amazing. I had the most incredible case manager, and she actually was quite an influence into wanting to go into community service as well, because I just fell in love with what she was doing and how, you know, connecting these families that might be going through a tough time or be facing some challenges that they may not have dealt with before, being able to connect them with services and maybe see something, you know, like a positive change come about that. It was really inspiring for me at that point.
Now, I understand with the course that you've undertaken that you've been involved in some work placement. Can I call it work placement?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Work placement. So I was involved with the Women's Wellness Festival last year.
Yes.
And if you don't know, it's this Thursday from 12 until 7 p.m. up at the showground. Very, very excited. I'll be there. And opportunities throughout the year arouse for us to take part in different work placement opportunities. So a lot of them were, I don't know. So we had a group doing the Shoalhaven Suicide Prevention and Awareness Network Trivia Night. I was a part of that last year. That was fantastic.
Good on you.
And learning about, you know, I guess as a part of that whole work experience factor, there was, you know, learning about mental health and suicide, as well as, you know, I guess the project management side of it, where you're planning this fantastic trivia night, which was a lot of fun. So much fun. So that was a really big one. The Women's Wellness Festival was fantastic. We did workplace health and safety. We did a lot of networking, which ultimately led me to where I am today. What else? We did Prosperity in the Park last year. A lot of students were involved in that. Parramatta Park, when the new bike track was opened, that was fantastic. That was a really great turnout and lots of fun as well. So it's a really engaging course. Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about the work that you're doing at the YWCA? What's all that about?
Yeah, so this came about through networking.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with the YWCA last year on work placement with TAFE.
Right.
And I love the feminist culture of the organisation. I love how big it is. It's an international organisation that supports women and children around the world. And my current role within the work placement that I'm doing currently, I'm working in domestic violence. So it's pretty intense, but it's been a real eye-opener, and it's just really reiterated that passion that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be at this point in my life.
I can only imagine in a position like that you must come across some absolutely heartbreaking stories and meet some, I guess, resilient women. How do you cope with that when you come home? Yeah,
so I guess I'm really new to the organisation. I've only been there for 8 weeks. So in my experience so far, the biggest thing for me, like you're saying, is how do you leave it at work, and how do you come home and, you know, and be with your family? A lot of it is a learning practice. You know, you learn to leave it. You know, a lot of the girls at work, and same with last year at TAFE when we had speakers come in, this was a question that we asked quite regularly. How do you just put it aside? You know, some of it is quite traumatic, and some of it, you know, is definitely hard to deal with. And we had one worker that drove over the bridge each day going home, and she threw everything in the water as she went over the bridge, and then she picked it back up the next day.
Wow.
So that was really cool.
Yeah.
I live on the other side of the bridge, so I haven't quite come up with something to keep myself and my family safe when it comes to some of the trauma that does come through. a lot of it is talking. Yeah, just being able to have external supervision, which we have to debrief and be able to talk about the things that we have been
and I guess
seeing.
that's so important too, isn't it? Like to be actually be able to talk to somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially someone, I guess, who knows what you're going through at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't have much longer left, unfortunately, Kristy, but I'd love to know, with your involvement with the Shoalhaven Women's Wellness Festival this year, what would you like to see women get out of it?
Oh my gosh, have fun.
Yeah? Just have fun,
It's going to be the most amazing, incredibly inspiring day. So, I mean, I'm in a different position this year. I'll be actually with the YWCA instead of a student. But it's a fantastic place to come and celebrate being a woman. There's going to be so many services there. If you have some sort of issue or you think, oh my gosh, maybe there's someone that can help me with this, whether it be mental health or domestic violence or even kid issues, like there's going to be something for everyone that, you know, you're going to be able to leave at the end of the day feeling inspired and probably feeling, yeah, that was the right choice. And there's going to be loads of swag, so that's the best part.
Loads of swags?
Yeah.
What?
So, this is the fun part for all the organisations,
right?
Where you get goodie bags.
Oh, like a show bag.
Yeah, or loads of pamphlets with information, so you can go home and sift through the things that you want and you don't want. I know for us, we've got fans, which I think will be great because it's probably going to be humid like it is today. Pens and jelly beans.
Oh, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Got me at jelly beans.
It's going to be the most incredible day, yeah.
Well, Kristy, I've got to say it's such a story that you've shared with us today, and I really want to thank you for coming into our studio today to talk about it. I know it hasn't been easy for you, and hopefully you've inspired some other young women out there to follow your passion when life sometimes takes you in a very different turn indeed. Yeah. It's been an absolute delight to chat with you today.
Thank you.
And can I just also say happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. And the Shoalhaven Women's Wellness Festival begins this Thursday at the Nowra Showground from 12 p.m, and more information is available from their Facebook page at Shoalhaven Women's Wellness Festival. And if any of today's discussion has raised any concerns, please contact Lifeline on 13 11 14 or Beyond Blue on 1300 22 4636. This is Tuesday Drive. We're going to take a short break.
Whether you're travelling in Nowra or heading south to Milton and Ulladulla, Tuesday Drive with Stephen will keep you up to date.